Zurubang, Ultimate Battle Royale of Everything and More. Battle 11, Act 1. The arena opens. A sound like 1,000 longship keels scraping against an infinite shoreline echoes through the void. Kronk, whoosh, and the dome materializes. Wooden planks stretch across the arena floor, weathered and salt-stained, while the prows of half-sunken Viking ships jut upward like the ribs of ancient Levithians. Torches flicker in iron sconces. The smell of brine and old battles hangs thick. High above, seated on a throne of crystallized starlight, Zurubang spreads all four arms wide, his golden coat shimmering, his eyes scanning the roaring masses with divine amusement. Ladies, gentlemen, and those who transcend such tedious categories, welcome to a battle where a frog girl, a cartoon chihuahua, and a man who swings a sword the size of a Buick will compete for glory. I've outdone myself. Millions of spectators pack the impossible stands, interdimensional tourists, ghosts of forgotten warriors, sentient nebulae wearing foam fingers, and one very confused accountant from Ottawa who took a wrong turn at a dimensional rift. Zurubang's voice booms across all realities. Let's meet our fighters! F tier! From the deranged cartoon hellscape of Ren and Stimpy, Ren! The neurotic chihuahua of doom, the walking nervous breakdown, owner of the world's most punchable face. Ren materializes mid-scratch, one leg twitching involuntarily. He squints up at the Viking ships, the torches, the roaring millions, and his left eye begins to twitch too. What is this? C tier! From the hallowed halls of UA High in My Hero Academia, Tsuyu Asui, the riveting realist, frog form with pro-hero function, tongue-tied and dangerous. Tsuyu lands on the wooden planks in a perfect crouch, her enormous eyes blinking once, slowly. Her tongue flickers, tasting the salt air. Ribbit. Viking ships, that's new. From the crime-ridden streets of Metro City in Final Fight, Haggar, the mayor who pile-drives crime, Metro City's muscliest public servant, democracy in action. Haggar steps forward and immediately flexes, both pectorals independently like two rival politicians at a press conference. The wooden planks groan under his weight. He points at the crowd. Every vote counts! A confused silence ripples through the stands. A sentient nebula leans toward a ghost warrior and whispers, Is this a campaign rally? From the windswept islands of the Philippines and Seoul, Calibur, Talim! Wind priestess of the Philippines, blade dancer with a conscience, wholesome but deadly. Talim materializes mid-spin, her tonfa blades catching the torchlight as a gust of warm wind scatters salt spray across the deck. She lands softly, bare feet barely touching the planks. B tier! From the blood-soaked arenas of Mortal Kombat, Mileena! Kitana's toothy clone, seduction meets mastication, the smile that launched 1,000 screams. Mileena rolls out of a pink flash, sigh already spinning. So many pretty faces. I'll wear one before this ends. Her yellow eyes lock onto Alice. Small, soft, appetizer. Ren sees those teeth and lets out a sound that can only be described as a chihuahua's soul leaving its body. What is going on in your mouth? From the gleaming laboratories of Overwatch, Winston, the gentleman gorilla, scientist first, primal rage second, bananas about justice. Winston lands with a heavy thud, adjusting his glasses as his jump pack powers down. He activates his barrier projector's diagnostic mode and immediately begins scanning the roster. Zurubang pauses. The crowd hushes. Even the sentient nebulas stop waving their foam fingers. The confused accountant from Ottawa clutches his briefcase. When Zurubang speaks again, his voice drops an octave. The torches dim. A tier. From the blood-drenched, god-forsaken nightmare of Berserk, the air itself seems to flinch. Guts! The Black Swordsman, walking trauma with a great sword, has literally fought hell and won. He doesn't materialize so much as arrive. One boot on the wooden planks, then the other, the Dragon Slayer already in his grip. The wood groans. The torches flicker sideways, away from him, as if the fire itself wants no part of what's coming. Guts rolls his neck. He says nothing. The crowd roars anyway. And now, Zurubang's voice drops to almost a whisper, forcing millions of beings to lean forward. It is time for our very first... The torches flicker, the Viking ships creak, even the wind holds still. Wild tier of season number 1! From the fractured logic of Lewis Carroll's Wonderland, Alice, the girl who broke logic, size-shifting Victorian menace, reality's least cooperative guest. Alice appears with a polite curtsy, blue dress immaculate, her bright hair catching torchlight. She checks her pockets. Mushroom? Present. Cake? Present. Alice opens her mouth as if to deliver a profound observation. The audience leans in. Ha! 30,000 beings in the front rows exchange glances. The accountant from Ottawa writes something in his notebook and crosses it out. Act 2. Perception of the fighters. Guts looks around. 7 other fighters. One looks like a gorilla. One looks like a demon wearing a woman's face. The rest, cannon fodder or something worse. His brand isn't burning. Small mercies. Mileena licks her sigh with a tongue that has tasted far worse. She's hungry. Winston elaborates, fascinating specimen diversity. The large human with the sword. Threat level significant. The hairless dog appears distressed. Tsuyu Asui blinks her enormous eyes slowly. This seems dangerous, but I've faced worse during finals week. The big guy with the sword looks like All Might if All Might had given up on smiling. Haggar flexes his pectorals and immediately assumes a wrestling stance. I've cleaned up Metro City one suplex at a time. Doesn't matter if you're a gorilla or a frog. The mayor's office is always open for justice. The crowd cheers for Haggar, although most of them have no clue who he is. He seems confident, though. Talim feels the wind whisper warnings. The dark one with the sword. The wind screams around him. Such suffering. She grips her tonfa blades. The wind will guide me. I will not fall. Alice looks around with polite confusion and yawns. A small, delicate, hand-over-mouth Victorian yawn, as if the entire spectacle is a particularly slow game of croquet. Guts' single eye tracks her from across the arena. Something about this girl is wrong. Not dangerous wrong, not apostle wrong. Just wrong. Ren vibrates with barely contained hysteria. Look at the size of that sword! Look at the teeth of that woman! His left eye twitches again. Act 3. Size matters. Zurubang's 4 arms conduct an orchestra only he can hear. May the ultimate battle royale begin! The arena erupts. Mileena is fastest of the mark, rolling toward Alice with predatory grace.
Come here, little girl. Let me see what's inside.
But Alice, with the unflappable logic of a child who has already died metaphorically in Wonderland, simply pops a piece of mushroom into her mouth and grows. 20 feet, 30, her head nearly scrapes the invisible dome. "Oh my," Giant Alice says, looking down at Mileena. "You're rather small now, aren't you?" Mileena skids to a halt.
What?
Alice's enormous foot comes down like a polite apocalypse. Mileena rolls clear, barely, sigh flashing as she scales a nearby Viking ship's mast.
You think size matters? I'll climb inside you and eat my way out.
Winston sees opportunity. His jump pack fires, launching him toward the mast where Mileena clings. "Pardon the intrusion!" His Tesla cannon crackles.
Get away from me, monkey!
The electrical discharge catches Mileena square in the chest. She shrieks, falls, and rolls across the deck, smoking but alive. Her regeneration already knitting torn flesh. Ren looks at all the fighting going on with a droopy face. A shadow falls over him. Haggar stands there, muscles glistening, mayoral dignity radiating. "Come out, little dog. Face justice like a—"
Justice?
Ren's eye twitches violently.
Look at you! You think you're so tough with your steroid muscles and your stupid mustache? You look like a walrus had a baby with a protein shake. What kind of mayo wrestles people? That's not fiscal policy, you meaty idiot.
Haggar actually laughs, a deep booming sound. "You done, little dog?"
Done? I haven't even warmed up. You smell like failed urban planning. What kind of moron fights crime shirtless? Put on a suit, you
The pile driver is instant. Haggar grabs Ren mid-rant, leaps 15 feet into the air, and drives him headfirst into the wooden deck with the force of democracy itself. "Final fight taught me patience. You just ran out of mine." Ren emerges from his body-shaped crater, somehow still conscious, cartoon physics granting him durability his F-tier ranking doesn't deserve. His head is accordion-shaped, his eyes spin in opposite directions.
Worth it,
he wheezes. Guts has been watching, waiting, assessing. The gorilla is dangerous. The demon-faced woman is dangerous. The giant girl is a problem. But the Wind Priestess... Talim has circled toward him, blades spinning.
Your soul is heavy with darkness, but I sense goodness buried deep. Please, surrender and...
Kid, Guts' voice is gravel. I've killed things that would make your nightmares cry. Don't. She comes anyway. Talim is fast, wind-enhanced, graceful, her tonfa blades weaving patterns that have felled demons in her own world. But Guts has fought apostles, he's fought Zod, he's fought the entire goddamn Eclipse. He doesn't even swing the Dragon Slayer, he just moves one step, one precise elbow, and catches Talim in the sternum as she closes distance. The Wind Priestess crumples. "Stay down," Guts says. There's something almost like regret in his voice. "I don't feel like killing a kid." But Talim rises, gasping.
The wind doesn't give up.
She attacks again. This time, Guts swings. Not full force, not even close, but the flat of the Dragon Slayer catches Talim across the ribs and launches her 30 feet into a Viking ship's hull. Wood splinters. She doesn't get up. Talim, eliminated by Guts. The crowd roars. A section of Filipino wind spirits weeps openly. Somewhere, a constellation begins to form. Giant Alice has been causing problems. Her enormous hands sweep across the arena, scattering fighters like chess pieces. Haggar has attempted to grapple her ankle and found himself punted into the stratosphere. Only the dome's ceiling stops his ascent.
"This is quite fun," Alice muses. "Though I do feel rather exposed at this size."
She reaches into her pocket and finds the other piece of mushroom. Shrink. Alice drops from 30 feet to 6 inches in an instant.
"Much better for hiding,"
she whispers, and scurries into the shadows of a broken oar. Mileena, recovered and furious, has found a new target. Tsuyu.
"Frog girl, I bet you taste like chicken."
Tsuyu's tongue shoots out with the speed of a striking viper, wrapping around Mileena's wrist and yanking.
"I've been told I taste like disappointment, actually."
Mileena stumbles forward, directly into Tsuyu's poison secretion. The venom isn't lethal, but it burns, and Mileena screams as her skin blisters.
"My face! You ruined my beautiful—"
Okay, it was already ruined, but still. Tsuyu doesn't wait for the monologue to finish. Her powerful legs launch her 20 feet straight up, and she comes down with both feet on Mileena's skull. Crack! Mileena hits the deck, twitches once, and goes still. Mileena, eliminated by Tsuyu Asui. The Mortal Kombat fan section falls silent. Someone quietly puts away their "finish her" sign.
"Ribbit, that's for every creepy thing you said."
Winston and Haggar have found each other, two titans of muscle, one scientific, one political. "You're strong," Winston admits, raising his Tesla cannon. "But strength without intellect?" "Intellect this!" Haggar roars, closing the distance with terrifying speed. Winston's barrier pops up. Haggar hits it like a freight train. The barrier cracks. Haggar hits it again. Again. On the fourth hit, it shatters. Winston has no time to react before Haggar's arms wrap around his midsection. "Mayoral spinning pile driver!" They go up, they spin, they come down. The wooden floor explodes. Winston lies in a crater, glasses cracked, fur smoking. But gorillas are resilient creatures. He presses a button on his pack. Primal rage activated. Rah! Gone is the scientist. In his place stands a beast. Haggar, still catching his breath from the pile driver, has exactly 0.3 seconds to process this before a massive gorilla slap introduces itself to his mayoral face. Wham! Haggar flies backward, crashes through 2 Viking ships, and doesn't get up. Haggar, eliminated by Winston. "That's what I do." Primal Winston beats his chest, still lost in rage. The Metro City voter base in attendance hangs their heads in shame. Ren, miraculously still alive, has crawled beneath a pile of debris. A shadow folds over him again. He looks up at Primal Winston, all rage and muscle and bared teeth.
"Oh, perfect!"
Ren screams, his sanity final shattering.
"Another big guy? What is this? A convention? You're not even a real gorilla. Real gorillas don't wear armor. Real gorillas don't have stupid lightning guns. You're a fraud, a phony, a corporate mascot with anger issues and—"
Winston's primal brain processes exactly none of the words. Just noise, just threat. "Look, doggy, I'm a scientist."
"A scientist? What did you discover? How to throw poop more efficiently? You probably can't even spell scientist without autocorrect. You—"
Smash. Ren eliminated by Winston. The impact crater is, once again, perfectly Ren-shaped. His final expression is frozen mid-insult. A constellation of neurotic chihuahua joins the heavens.
Ribbit, Tsuyu observes. I guess he had it coming.
Act 4. Endgame. Remaining fighters. Guts, uninjured, conserving energy, Dragon Slayer humming with dark intent. Winston, primal rage fading, panting, minor bruising from Haggar's assault. Tsuyu Asui, fully mobile, poison glands recharged, cautious and calculating. Alice, currently 6 inches tall, hidden location, potentially anywhere. Winston's rage subsides. He blinks, looks at his hands, and sees the Ren-shaped crater. Oh dear, I do apologize for that. Tsuyu lands on a nearby mast, watching him.
Ribbit, you're calmer now. That's good. I didn't want to fight you while you were, you know.
Scientifically speaking, Winston adjusts his cracked glasses, we should perhaps consider an alliance against... Don't bother, Guts approaches. Dragon Slayer over his shoulder. The wooden planks groan under the weight. The gorilla, the frog girl, and wherever the little one's hiding, he scans the arena. Let's finish this. Tsuyu's tongue shoots out. Guts moves, faster than his size suggests possible, and catches it in his mechanical hand. Bad idea. He pulls. Tsuyu flies toward him, directly into a massive knee strike. She hits the ground hard, gasping, the wind knocked completely out of her. You're tough, kid. Tougher than you look, Guts raises the Dragon Slayer. But tough isn't enough.
Excuse me.
A voice, tiny, polite. Guts looks down. Alice, 6 inches tall, stands on his boot.
How about you pick one of your own size?
She eats the mushroom. Grow. The expansion is instant. Alice goes from 6 inches to 40 feet in under a second, and Guts is caught in the growth, launched skyward like a cork from a champagne bottle. Even the black swordsman isn't prepared for that. He hits the dome ceiling with a thoom and falls. But he twists mid-air, lands on his feet, knees buckling but holding. She doesn't wait for him to recover. Her massive hand sweeps across the arena floor like a tidal wave of Victorian propriety. Guts rolls, barely, and the impact shatters 3 Viking ships into splinters.
Hold still, please,
Alice says politely.
This will only hurt a moment.
Her foot comes down. Guts raises the Dragon Slayer overhead, bracing with both arms. The impact drives him knee-deep into the wooden planks. His bones scream, his muscles tear. But he holds. You're heavier than you look! He pushes, and giant Alice stumbles backward, momentarily off balance. Guts doesn't hesitate. He sprints up a collapsed mast, using it as a ramp, and launches himself at her face. The Dragon Slayer carves a crimson line across her cheek. Alice screams, a sound like thunder in a teacup, and swats him out of the air. Guts hits the arena wall hard enough to crack the invisible dome. He tastes blood. His mechanical arm sparks and sputters. Get up. You've survived worse. Get up. Giant Alice looms over him, one hand pressed to her bleeding cheek, eyes no longer curious, but angry.
That was very rude.
Both hands come down like hammers. Guts moves on instinct alone, rolling, scrambling, feeling the shock waves as her fists crater the floor inches behind him. She is too big, too fast for her size. Every dodge buys him seconds, nothing more. Think. The Viking ships, the masts, the height. He runs, not away, but toward the tallest remaining ship. Giant Alice follows, her footsteps earthquakes.
Running won't help, she calls. I will catch you like a little white rabbit.
Guts climbs, hand over hand, mechanical fingers digging into ancient wood. Alice reaches for him, and he jumps toward her face, Dragon Slayer extended. The blade catches her across the eyes. Alice shrieks and reels backward, hands flying to her face. Blood pours between her fingers. She stumbles, crashes into the arena wall, and shrink. The pain disrupts her concentration. She falls from 40 feet to normal size in an instant, collapsing onto the deck in a heap of blue dress and blonde hair. Guts lands hard, breathing ragged, his body a symphony of pain. He approaches slowly, Dragon Slayer ready. Alice looks up at him, blood streaming down her face, and smiles weakly.
Okay, I'm not enjoying this anymore. I will wake up now. Bye.
She closes her eyes, folds her hands neatly across her chest, and simply stops participating. Alice, eliminated by Guts, perhaps. Her star rises to the sky and leaves a note with a poof. Zurubang catches it with one of his 4 hands and reads aloud. Discretion is the better part of valor. Also, this seems rather unfair. Alice. Zurubang chuckles, tucking the note into his golden coat. She's not wrong. Winston sees his chance. The black swordsman is wounded, badly. His movements are slow. His guard is down. His jump pack fires, maximum thrust, and he rockets toward Guts, Tesla cannon charging. Apologies, this is over in a second. The electrical discharge catches Guts square in the chest. He convulses, drops to one knee, smoke rising from his armor. Fascinating resilience, Winston observes, landing nearby. But even you have limits. Guts looks up, teeth bared, eye burning with something that makes Winston's scientific brain scream danger. You want to test my limits, monkey? Tsuyu has recovered enough to stand. She watches from a broken mast as the 2 titans face each other.
Ribbit, I don't suppose either of you wants to talk this out?
No, they say in unison. Winston charges left. Guts, injured, exhausted, still smoking from the Tesla blast, charges right. Tsuyu leaps straight up. Winston sees the opening. His fists connects with Guts' ribs. Crack, and the black swordsman staggers. Your injuries are compromising your combat efficiency by approximately 40%, Winston observes, pressing his advantage. Another punch, another. Surrender would be the logical... Guts catches the 4th punch with his mechanical hand. Logic. He squeezes. Winston's knuckles crunch. The gorilla howls. I've never been good at logic. The Dragon Slayer carves his sword through Winston's barrier like paper and catches him across the chest with full power. The gorilla flies backward, armor cracked, blood matting his fur. That was it, Guts respectfully mentions. But then Winston gets up, as if nothing has happened. The gorilla stands, chest wound gaping, blood pouring freely, and adjusts his broken glasses. Unbelievable, Winston says, his voice calm despite the devastation of his body. The pain is considerable. He takes a step toward Guts. This is the first time in this whole battle that Guts is in shock. He's killed apostles who stayed dead. This gorilla, this scientist, stands there with a wound that should have dropped an elephant, driven by nothing but sheer stubborn intellect and pride. You should be dead, Guts says. Yes, Winston agrees. The calculations support that conclusion. Another step. He slowly adjusts his Tesla cannon, which sparks uselessly at his side. For a moment, they stand frozen. Winston starts smiling. Then he falls. Winston, eliminated by Guts. The Overwatch fan section lowers their imagination signs. A constellation of a gentle scientist joins the pantheon above. 2 remain. Guts, barely standing, held upright by will alone, blood from a dozen wounds, from Alice, from Winston, from the entire brutal gauntlet, stains what remains of his cloak. Tsuyu, perched on a broken mast, watching.
Ribbit, you're hurt, badly.
I've had worse. He coughs, blood. Maybe.
I believe you.
She blinks slowly. Her tongue flickers, tasting the air.
You can barely stand. Your arm doesn't work. You have at least 4 broken ribs.
Guts says nothing.
I could wait, let you bleed out. That would be a smart move.
It would. Tsuyu drops from the mast and lands softly on the ruined deck.
But that's not very heroic, is it, Ribbit?
Guts regards her. Young, brave, stupid brave. The best kind. You'd have a chance. A real one.
I know.
She settles into a fighting stance. Something shifts in Guts' expression. Respect. Then come. She launches herself at him, tongue first, then legs, then everything she has. Poison secretion, camouflage flicker, wall clinging, agility. She's everywhere at once. And Guts, broken, bleeding, running on nothing but spite and scar tissue, is slow. Her tongue wraps around the Dragon Slayer's hilt, yanking it sideways. Her kick connects with the broken ribs. He grunts, actually grunts, and staggers. She could win this. She could actually. The crowd feels it too. Tsuyu presses her advantage. Another kick, another. Her poison burns his skin wherever she touches. Guts drops to one knee. The crowd roars. The MHA section goes insane. Tsuyu lands in front of him, breathing hard, preparing the final blow.
Ribbit, you fought well.
Guts looks up at her and smiles. So did you. His remaining arm moves faster than it has any right to, faster than broken bones and blood loss should have allowed. The Dragon Slayer sweeps upward in a brutal arc, catching Tsuyu across the torso before she can even blink. Her body's last reflex is a jump, frog instinct screaming escape, but it only carries her further along the blade's trajectory. She flies across the ruined arena, hits the deck with a heavy thud, and stays down. Tsuyu Asui, eliminated by Guts. The My Hero Academia section cheers anyway. For her bravery, her determination, her frog-like composure in the face of impossible odds. For coming so close to toppling a legend. A constellation of a riveting hero joins the sky. Act 5. Victor. Winner, Guts! The black swordsman doesn't stand in triumph. He collapses into something resembling a standing position, using the Dragon Slayer as a crutch, surrounded by broken ships. His wounds bleed freely. His mechanical arm hangs dead. At least 5 bones are broken. He looks up at the constellations, the fallen fighters watching from above. Alice, Winston, Tsuyu, all of them. Tch. He coughs blood. This wasn't babysitting. A pause. This was a fight. Zurubang descends from his throne, all 4 arms applauding. Ladies, gentlemen, and interdimensional phenomena, your victor, the Black Swordsman, the man who refuses to die no matter how politely the universe asks. Guts! The crowd roars. Guts limps toward the exit. He doesn't wave, he doesn't bow. He barely walks, each step a war against his own failing body. The black swordsman disappears into the void, leaving a trail of blood behind him. The crowd begins to disperse, still buzzing about what they've witnessed. Zurubang smiles and begins shuffling his next roster. Because there's always a next battle.